The garment bag was still zipped on the stair rail when I saw them. I noticed that first, stupidly, the way the mind reaches for something small when it isn't ready for something large. White satin, faintly luminous under the hallway light, hanging there like nothing in the house had changed. Then I looked past it into the living room and understood that everything had. My husband stood too close to Marissa, his hand resting on her forearm in a way that had no innocent explanation left in it. She stepped back when she saw me. He didn't. I don't remember deciding to stay quiet. My mouth simply didn't open. Some older part of me was already taking inventory, his shirt untucked at the back, her mascara smudged at the corner of one eye, the two wine glasses on the side table, only one of them touched. Then I heard the stairs. Garrett came down slowly, one hand trailing the banister, and when he reached the bottom, he didn't look at either of them. He looked at me. His face had gone somewhere I didn't recognize, not angry, not devastated, just still, the way water goes still right before it freezes. Mom, his voice was almost gentle. I already know. And it's worse than you think. I want to tell you, I demanded an explanation right then. I didn't. I stood in my own living room, in a dress I'd bought for my son's wedding, and felt something in me quietly rearrange itself into a shape built for enduring instead of reacting. That night I lay awake cataloging a year I'd apparently misread. The dinner Marissa canceled in March, claiming a migraine, the same week I'd seen my husband's car 2 streets over from her apartment building. The transfer of $8,000 he'd explained as helping with vendor deposits, though I'd never seen an invoice. The way Marissa had started speaking to me with a politeness so careful it functioned as distance. I had filed all of it under wedding stress. I was, it turned out, filing evidence. In the morning I did something I hadn't done in 11 years of marriage. I opened his laptop, not out of fury, out of the same instinct that makes you press a bruise to see how deep it goes. What I found wasn't an affair so much as an architecture. Transfers routed through a joint account, a second account I didn't know existed, messages with Marissa that weren't romantic at all, not really. They were financial. Numbers. Dates. A plan to quietly redirect wedding funds through her name before the marriage made asset division legally complicated. My husband hadn't just betrayed our son's trust. He'd been laundering doubt about his own finances through his son's wedding. Garrett found me at the kitchen table an hour later, the screen still open. You knew, I said, not a question. 3 months. He sat down across from me, and for the first time in a long while, my son looked like a boy again, not the composed young man who'd stopped needing me. I didn't know how to tell you without destroying everything. I thought if I could just get through the wedding, you were protecting me. I was protecting the version of you that still believed in him. He looked at his hands. I didn't think that was mine to take away. I thought about the pearl earrings sitting upstairs in their velvet box, my mother's, meant for Marissa to borrow that morning, a small ceremony of trust I'd been looking forward to for weeks. I thought about how easily inheritance moves through hands that don't understand what they're holding. I didn't scream at my husband. I didn't confront Marissa. Screaming would have given the moment back to them, made it about my reaction instead of their arithmetic. Instead, 3 hours before the ceremony, I called the venue's event coordinator and asked, with perfect calm, whether the vendor deposits had in fact cleared from the account listed on the contract. They hadn't. They'd cleared from a different one entirely. One with Marissa's name on it. By the time my husband realized what I'd quietly set in motion, the coordinator was already on the phone with the venue's legal contact. Questions were being asked that he had no comfortable answers for. There was no shouting, no public unraveling, just a man standing very still in a hallway, watching a version of consequence he hadn't accounted for. One that didn't look like rage, only exposure. The wedding happened anyway, different than planned, quieter in ways only Garrett and I understood. Marissa wore the pearls after all. I'd sent them up that morning, before I knew everything, and it felt wrong to take back a gift already given, even one that now meant something else entirely. I watched her adjust them in the mirror before the ceremony, unaware of what they'd witnessed, unaware of the year that had passed through them without her name on any of it. My husband didn't attend the reception. There was a version of this story where that absence felt like justice. Mostly it just felt like weather, something that had happened, not something I'd chosen. Near the end of the night, I stepped outside onto the terrace alone, the music thin behind the glass doors. Garrett found me there eventually, said nothing, and put his arm around my shoulders the way he used to when he was small and the house felt too loud. You okay? He asked. I looked at the string lights, at the shapes of people I no longer fully trusted moving behind glass, and thought about all the small things I'd once mistaken for peace. I will be, I said, and for the first time all day I believed it.